I believe that a sermon can change somebody's life.
Yes.
Right? The right word at the right time, the Spirit meeting that person. And for me, it's like, hey, what if that doesn't have to happen during the service? Like, what if it's a notification that a father gets while he's driving to work, that he listens to a sermon and it just changes the course of his life?
Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to the Framework Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Ken Engel, president of Southeastern University. Joining me, as always, our co-host, Michael Steiner, our SEU Senior Vice President for Advancement and, of course, Innovation, because we're always doing lots of great creative things.
Lots of new stuff.
We're excited to welcome two incredible leaders from SubSplash, a platform that helps churches and small businesses really transform their ministries with technology. It's a privilege to have Manny Matos, a senior ministry consultant, has over a decade of experience helping churches, nonprofits leverage digital solutions. And Joel Wildeboer, the vice president of business development at SubSplash, is passionate about always coming alongside, empowering others to find their purpose and reach their full potential. Together, you both bring some incredible wisdom, insight at the intersection of what I think it's the most powerful intersection of ministry, technology, leadership. You know, you integrate all of those to help organizations grow, but help organizations last to be sustainable, which is so important. So welcome, both
Thank you so much for having us. This is great.
Yeah, to have this conversation. Of course, we have some Seattle ties that
Yes,
go way
sir.
back, and we're able to catch up on some of that, which was pretty cool today as well. I want to start out. Churches are often known, for being more technology, I guess you might say, resistant in a lot of ways than most industries. So how can churches, ministries really leverage technology today to more effectively amplify, what they're all about, amplify their mission, amplify spreading really the good news?
Yeah. Well, I think that technology has always been around. When you think about Paul and how he actually took the gospel to different areas of the Western world, he used the Roman roads, right? The Roman roads at the time was the technologically advanced part of that culture. We look at the Gutenberg press and the proliferation of the Bible. We look at the microphone and the ability to fill arenas or fill stadiums and be able to hear the gospel. Or you look at the radio, and now you look at the phone, right? And so I think that technology has always been a tool and a resource for churches to bring the hope and the good news of who Jesus is. We have seen, though, we partner with about 18,000 churches across the country, and there's always a little bit of hesitancy around leveraging technology and the new thing that comes out. AI, as an example, right now is kind of the hot topic of the church. But when you think about technology, you have to think about, like, where are people at? Right. And when you look at the data, whether it's Barna or ComScore or any other digital think tank, the data shows that people are on their phones today like 50 hours a week.
Wow.
And when you compare that with how many hours a normal church gets their average congregant engaged, which is usually like 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, at the most.
There's a huge gap there, right? And so we are passionate, and we have thousands of conversations with thousands of churches a year on understanding the power of technology and the strategy of how to implement it in a holistic way.
How do you do that? How do you make them aware?
Yeah, no, I think, for us, you always want to understand the mission and what makes that local church we really want to focus on impacting that local community, right? And so, for us, it's really like figure out, like, okay, what are the things you are trying to accomplish? Are you trying to get, have more people come to your church, know about your church?
Right.
So that's what we'll come alongside and say, okay, what about your SEO strategy? What about your marketing strategy? Does your website even reflect who you are, right? Things that churches are not thinking about, right? And so they're so focused on the ministry, which is important. But it's like, okay, hey, how do you look up and out and see what else is going on out there? And then there's some churches that kind of already get that. They're kind of maybe a little bit more advanced in their journey with it. And they're like, hey, what would it look like to disciple somebody on a Tuesday? Even like a podcast or the ability to communicate throughout the week. And so we really try to get to the heart of what makes that church, vibrant and what they're trying to do in the community, and then try to just empower them with the tools, right? And so It could be different things: mobile apps, websites, podcasting, live streaming. Right? It's like I always think about this. Right? I believe that a sermon can change somebody's life.
Yes.
Right? The right word at the right time, the Spirit meeting that person. And for me, it's like, hey, what if that doesn't have to happen during the service? Like, what if it's a notification that a father gets while he's driving to work, that he listens to a sermon and it just changes the course of his life, right? And so it's just such a unique opportunity that we have now, and we just want to help churches figure out the best way to do that.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you guys are working with these churches, where do you start? Like, what seems to be like the thing that, like, you know, if they can start, you know, I'm at zero, I'm at a church that's never done anything before. Where do I start when I'm starting to look at technology?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, I think, you know, I would say usually you want to start somewhere, like obviously having a website, if you're really just getting started, right? Having a place where you can direct people to, right? I would say that's a great place to start. And it just really depends on where there's gaps. Right, that's another thing I always try to talk with churches is like, okay, where do you feel like there is a gap in your reach? And usually technology is around here to solve a problem, right?
Right.
So if you can find what that gap is, like, man, I just can't create enough content, or I don't have a strategy for creating content, or I can't keep up with that because I got to be at the hospital visits. It's like, okay, well, what can we automate, right? How can we give you time back? So for us, it's not just like the broadcasting side of it, but it's also the infrastructure. Could you even be a church of 500 if they all showed up tomorrow?
Yeah.
And most of the time they're like, I don't think so. And so being able to even work on those systems is so I really start with a consultative approach. It's hard. You can't just give a cookie cutter approach.
Yeah. And I would add too that we try to explain more of a holistic approach, right? Get them to think that the Monday through Saturday framework is just as important as the amount of resources and time and energy and money and people that you're putting to Sunday, right? And so it's casting that vision with them of really helping them understand, because the way that we've done church for so long is we make beautiful buildings.
Right.
We have beautiful worship sets. We have a ton of staff. We have a ton of volunteers, but it's all for about 4 hours on Sunday.
Right. And that's it.
Right? And we've been doing that for decades. And so we try to cast that vision of, hey, where people are at is Monday through Saturday in a space digitally that you have now the ability and the opportunity and the tools and the resources to go meet them where they're at and show them the hope. And what's like Manny said, it is different based off of context, but it's really casting that vision with them and letting them understand, kind of trying to shift that paradigm that we've been in the American church for so long.
Right. Well, what's so cool about SubSplash, because and I want you guys to kind of zoom out and give us a kind of broad scope, is what does SubSplash do for churches? What are the suite of tools you guys have? But before you do that, I want to comment that a lot of the tools that you guys have, you know, we're all on our phones, we get advertisements every single day, but you, as a company, I don't know that there's very many companies out there that provide the tools you do with the heart for the church like you do. Like you guys like have this, it really is church first versus other people just trying to do digital services. So with that in mind, walk us through just a kind of a broad overview of what are the things that SubSplash does for churches.
Yeah. Well, we always say that unfortunately in today's world, the Facebook, the Instas, the X's, the Fox News, the MSNBC, got to be balanced. You got fair and balanced. You know, if you're my wife, Amazon. If you're me, ESPN. Right? All these different platforms, they're actually discipling the church better than we are as leaders of the church. And so for us, we have a suite of tools, and obviously it starts with that vision and that holistic strategy of kind of unpacking what their needs are, unpacking their resources, unpacking their time, and kind of dreaming with them. But, you know, we have a suite of tools. It starts with the website. We view a website as really the digital front door, right? For a long time, the website was viewed as the engagement place, but that's just not what data shows us. Data is really telling us that the website is that digital front door.
Got it.
And so if you think about marketing funnel, right, how are we capturing the large swath of people that are consistently vying for content or consistently visiting you, you know, on various platforms? So that website's a great tool, but then our job as the church is to push them down, for lack of a better term, the discipleship funnel, right? And you do that through engagement tools like mobile apps that allow people to communicate with each other inside the the custom app of that particular church, so they're not having to go to WhatsApp or Google Meets, or they can go right to the church's app. We have, TV apps, which has boomed since COVID, if you can imagine, right? People doing church with TV apps. We just launched CarPlay. Yep. So now people can actually listen to their favorite pastor or their church right as they're driving to work or to the store, which is fun. Push notifications, there's communication channels with SMS and email, right? All these tools are all built to help the church really communicate more effectively and efficiently and deepen that discipleship and engagement and increase their ability to get involved with community.
Yeah, and I think too, it's creating that dedicated space. Right, there's a lot of distraction in our society, absolutely. Right? Even somebody might be watching this on YouTube right now might see like another, suggested video that's completely different than this conversation, right? Yeah. And so one of the things that we've really been trying to do or have been doing is having a dedicated environment conducive for discipleship, right? So a mobile app that's branded to your church, right? That is your church. The suggested video after that is not a cat video, right? It's the next sermon or the next podcast, right? And so I think that's really important. You think about worship on a Sunday, right? So my background's like worship experience, connecting people to God. I think there's actually some similarities to that on the tech side, because on the software side, because we do so much to remove distractions for worship, right? Are the songs right? Are the lyrics up? Does it have the right background, right? Is anybody distracting what's happening? But then we're kind of, in some ways, hypocritical when we go to YouTube or something like that. I'm not saying that those platforms don't work, but it's like, what if you had a dedicated place where the next step was actually along their discipleship funnel or their journey? Yeah. And I think TV apps like that, Roku, Apple TV, so those are things that get me excited.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah. Definitely technology enhances engagement, and it's incredible to see that happen. But unfortunately, we have a lot of leaders in the church. Maybe they don't even embrace all of that, but don't fully understand that and are slow, or maybe they want to start slow. And then how do you give them a wow factor that even with just one tool that makes them go, oh my goodness, I really do need to move faster? What is it that you do that just kind of, boom, it makes the awareness go sky high?
Man, it's a great question. Manny, would you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's a good question too. I think one of the things I'll say is I'll coach and it's start somewhere. And usually what I'll do is I'll say, how are you communicating? Where are you finding, where do you have momentum right now in the way you're engaging your people outside of Sunday? Yeah. And you'll hear something like Facebook, or you'll hear something like, I don't even know. Or, we don't really do that, right? And so what I'll do is I'll try to find out where that pastor has where the Spirit's leading them on where that opportunity is. And then from there, tailor the product that we have for them. So for example, we have one church that wanted to particularly reach the nursing home community in their area. Those people aren't coming to your church. Right. So what if you put your live stream on a Roku device, you just buy the entire nursing home Rokus that are easy to set up, already preloaded with your app, and people can now engage with your sermon and your worship experience without ever leaving, right? And so, I think it's really tailoring, right? Sure. So I think that, the mobile app has been, you think about it, most of our time, even on our phones, is in mobile apps, right? You think about it, right? You're not really going to a browser. If you are, it's probably something quickly, right? Like you're going there for something. But if you're going there to be engaged or to learn or to grow, you're going to maybe a podcasting platform or some sort of content consumption. Yeah. And so that's been a really big area that we've seen a lot of churches, pastors see, like, wow, I have a following that I can create and cultivate through a mobile app. Yeah. So it just really depends.
As you look at technology, and it moves fast, and it's always changing and growing, and I know you got to keep up with it. So when you think about the next 5 to 10 years, oh my goodness, what do you think it's going to be like? Let's say 10 years down the road, and why that it is so important that we get ahead of that, so that we are ready when 5 years comes. 10 years
absolutely.
comes.
And I think with AI, it is accelerated beyond what I think any of us had really anticipated. Manny and I were sitting around with some senior pastors last night, actually talking about AI and how it's actually affected, even writing books and publishers and all sorts of things like that. And so, I think for us, we try to view it through the lens of how do we redeem technology, because technology is such a broad term and it touches every areas of our lives. How do we redeem it? How do we make it gospel centered? But it's moving at such a fast pace. We always joke actually that Apple will probably come out with like a hologram that pops out of this thing.
Yes.
And
exactly.
like you'll be able to hear Elvis like pop up and like Billy Graham, right? And so wherever the history of SubSplash realistically is that wherever the church and technology meet is where we have innovated and where we've kind of taken this tip of the spear and said, hey, how can we use the technology that's available and leverage it to redeem it and have the churches use it. And so when the hologram pops up, we're probably going to be the ones that have Billy Graham, do it. And
so in your guys' opinion, I mean, with all the work you're doing with broadcasting and all that kind of stuff, how do you feel about like the deep fakes or the AI avatars? I mean, because we're in a world, right, where theoretically we can make an AI avatar of a pastor. He can upload a sermon, or you can hit, ChatGPT a sermon.
It's already been done.
Right. So what do we do? What's the answer to that? Or how are you guys thinking about that when churches are coming down the line?
Yeah, there's a lot. It's a great question. And you are literally sitting at the table of SubSplash leaders where we're talking about that exact thing.
Right.
I think for us, when we make decisions about technology that comes out and if we're going to build on it, if we're going to leverage it, if we're going to kind of go down the road, because new technology comes out all the time. And we've been in the space for 18 years, so we've seen things come and go. For us as a company, and this is a little unique in the business world, is that we pray first and foremost for wisdom and for discernment.
That's huge.
Because we don't want to chase something that, one, is not going to benefit the church. We're going to lose our souls in it. And so that's where we always start. And then from there, it's, hey, how can we scale, or what technology can we use that will benefit the majority of the churches that we serve, right? There's 300,000 churches in the country. There's millions if you count house churches around the world. And our goal is to equip every single church to help them engage more deeply, to help them expand their reach and help bring the hope of the gospel to the people in it, right? And so we are consistently thinking through, okay, how are we actually going to leverage the new technology? We'll give you AI. AI is a hot topic in the church world. Some people are adamantly against it. Some people are using it already, right? And so for us, we actually just brought on a company called Pulpit AI, which we had a lot of discussions about. We had a lot of prayer over as a team, and it's not necessarily replacing the pastor, the AI is, but it's actually enhancing the ability for a lead pastor to develop content that they've already written and expand and create like 28, 30 pieces of content that they can leverage throughout the week, we talked about before. So AI is so robust, but we're targeting specific areas of technology that can benefit the majority of the churches.
I think right now what you're going to see early on adopting on the technology side with AI is going to be how do I expand my reach? Can this help me create more content to get it out, right? So like clipping short form stuff or creating a Bible reading plan from your sermon, right? Which is what Pulpit AI does. It can generate content that you can then augment it and then disseminate it to your people, right? And so I think what we've seen, even some of the Barner studies, there's a higher appetite on the marketing content creation side. Where we get nervous is like, okay, wait, is the AI pastoring me, right? Is it guiding my heart? And that's a big question. And I don't know. We know the answer to that. I do believe that at the end of the day, no matter where AI ends, the human starts somewhere, right?
Oh, sure.
And
absolutely.
and I think that's where it's like, as pastors and leaders that are thinking about this stuff, it's like, okay, like we can't lose sight of that, right? Where it's like we can't surrender our own sovereignty to the AI to think for us, but maybe come in and help us, right? So that's where I think AI really comes in, where we can start using it, and we'll see as it continues to get smarter and quicker and faster.
And we partner with a nonprofit, and their whole purpose is to be on Twitch. Like this nonprofit's on Twitch, and there are full communities that live in this digital space where they have no access nor desire to be part of the real world, but they create these
Worlds.
worlds
Yes,
within,
yes.
and the stories of what groups like this are doing that are leveraging technology or meeting where people are at are phenomenal. Just a quick story. I was meeting with the founder a few weeks ago, and he was in a chat. He now has 10 digital missionaries that are in Twitch. Millions and millions and millions of people are on Twitch.
That's so cool.
Whether it's for gaming or whether it's for
100 other things. Yeah.
100 other things. And there are subsets of these, like furry subsets.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like people are furries.
Yes.
And they're creating these alternative universes. Somehow, this guy that I was meeting with met one of the furries.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And just created community in this digital space with this guy. Started to disciple him. A year later, Jesus saves him.
Wow.
And then now he is his latest digital missionary, and now he's going back into these chat rooms and these environments and these digital worlds and bringing the hope of Jesus.
Right.
And so it blows my mind like that is so far out of my
Because all
paradigm.
that happened via stream. They never talked to each other.
They've never met in person at all.
Never met in person.
Never met in
All
person.
stream. And their lives are getting changed.
Exactly.
Right.
It's wild.
I mean, it's crazy to think about it. And if you're a pastor listening to this, to think about this is like, that's real transformation, right? And so the Holy Spirit isn't bound by physical location.
Exactly.
He's the Lord of everything, right? Including cyberspace and all that kind of stuff.
It's powerful. My goodness, you think of, for example, AI. Now, we strive to push ourselves and be innovative around here, and we've utilized AI in a lot of things. Actually, utilized it in such a way it's saved thousands of dollars.
It has,
for the university in a great way. But I know there's got to be some listeners right now that are thinking, well, and we'll wrap up the conversation with this one. But how can a ministry leader know when I've got to invest and I want all the new technology, I want to be innovative, but how do I know it's not going to really distract me from my real mission? And they're thinking, because I don't want, so how do you...
It's a great question.
Yeah.
And we always have said, and we see this time and time again, that technology should make you more efficient and effective. Bad technology makes you not more effective and efficient, but great technology should actually make you more effective and efficient. And so what we normally see when churches adopt us is that, one, they're able to expand their reach. So if you look at app downloads as an example, most of our churches on average see about 5 times the amount of app downloads than people in their church. Yeah.
Wow.
Right, which shows you the power of technology to create concentric rings.
Yep.
Right, and kind of expand that ability for you to go reach communities. Right. Because realistically, people are going to check out a church 12 times digitally before they even step foot in the church. And so but it's really a kind of a crawl, rock, run, right? It's if you're a pastor of a 100-person church and you're wearing multiple hats, which every pastor wears multiple hats, right? Adopt a technology that is going to, with impact stories of churches of your size that have seen the actual impact, that have seen the results from it, that you can model and mimic, and crawl, walk, run. Take bite-sized pieces, incremental change.
Yeah.
Some churches jump in the deep end and they do great, but most churches, because you have so many things going on, and because it is a strategy change, and because it is a holistic, probably paradigm shift in how you're doing ministry and how you're doing discipleship, it's start small. Start with the app. Start with the website, and then start to understand how people are being engaged with it, and then that leads you down the road to adopt more of the technology, to leverage it to expand your ability to reach more people.
I would almost kind of even reframe that question a little bit. I would say, you don't want to do something that's outside your mission. So if it's detracting from that mission, then don't do it. But if you go and you sit down and say, hey, this is our mission, or this is our objective in the next 6 months, right? And then you look at that objective and you'll say, is there a way for technology to help me with that, right? And then from there you implement it, right? Because if you go, I got to use AI.
Yeah.
No, that's like, you're trying to build a table. Why are you going to grab a sword?
Right. Exactly.
Right.
That's
So like
good.
you're gonna build a table, get the hammer. Right. And that's where I see churches make a mistake. And then what happens is, and this is, I think, honestly, discouragement is they try something and it fails and then they give up.
Yeah.
Right. And that discouragement disengages them from the potential just because they try to build the wrong thing or use the wrong tool. And so That's what I would encourage. It's like, okay, what is your mission? Or let's not even talk global, like big mission. It's like, okay, you want to get people to go to your VBS, but you don't have a way for people to register online?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
Start there.
The answer's there, right?
there, yep.
And
Easy
just, you don't have to have pen and paper anymore, and you can collect the money digitally. Like, whoa, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So even
that's so
starting
good.
small, those things can have a huge impact.
Yeah, no, man, we actually ought to do a whole podcast series on our conversations here and
Technology,
build because it's powerful. And listening to you both, first of all, we're probably way underdeveloped in our use of technology here, so we hope we can take full advantage of the menu that you all provide. So, and I know that you were here, part of our SU conference, had a chance to really share what you do in your heart, and I just love your passion and the way you encourage to help, because ultimately it's about developing kingdom life everywhere we go, and we just want to utilize especially technology in a pretty powerful way. So grateful to you both, and grateful that we could have this conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Love it. And if you want to stay up to date with Manny and Joel, you can connect with them on LinkedIn. That's also a great place if you love this conversation, you want to know more of what SubSplash can do, right? Connect with you guys on
absolutely.
LinkedIn. You can also follow SubSplash on Instagram at SubSplash. You can go to subsplash.com. Lots of great entry points if you're thinking about, man, I would love to talk about what you guys could do for our church. And so we'd love to check them out. Can't brag about this company enough. We love our partnership and working with them. And so check them out. Go to all those places. And thank you so much for listening to Framework Leadership. We'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Framework Leadership. If you're watching on YouTube, now would be a great time to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so you can get incredible leadership content right to your YouTube feed. You can also check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts every single week, Framework Leadership. And if you love great email newsletters, and I know I do, make sure you check out keningle.com and subscribe to the Framework Leadership newsletter. It's an incredible piece of content we put out every single week of amazing leadership resources right to your inbox. Make sure you check it out. You can also follow us on Instagram at Kent_Ingle, at Dr. Michael Steiner, on X at Kent Ingle, and on Facebook at Kent.Ingle. Stay up to date on all the incredible things happening on the podcast and at Southeastern University. We love you guys, and we love our followers and our subscribers. Thank you so much for listening to the Framework Leadership Podcast.